quite the same. Your money ain't flowing, I'm off my game. Taking the time to realize that I fell and I may have lost my way. I don't know what the problem is. I've seen you do it time and time and time.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
I remember the things you said. You told me that you said how sure I'm the highest. Now I'll make it alright. I know I can't deny it. They mad cause you supply. You truth, yeah, use my life. And the devil use a lie. And I can't believe you tried it. Oh, you told me that it's working.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for you. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that. Listen, you got the key to my heart. I surrender. Holding up my cross, won't forget who you send me. My big brother, we making big moves. They confused, not included. If they hating, call them counterfeit. If it ain't big money, bet it's dollar bills. Oh, you say I saw I'm the flyest. Now I'll make it alright. Yeah, I know I can't deny it.
Shalom.
You supply, you truth, yeah, use my life. And the devil use a lie. And I can't believe you tried it. Oh, yeah. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that we know, for we know, for we together for the angels. Love you and call to his purpose. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good.
Woo!
You told me that it's working out.
Yes.
You told me that I know he's working on you. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me that it's working out for my good. You told me
that. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel that have been scattered worldwide. Hallelujah. Abba Yah has once again allowed us to come together on this platform in order to help wake up Jacob and to give encouragement to those of us who are the apple of Abba Yah's eye. Oh, yes, Zion is us. Don't ever get it twisted. The called out of the call outs is us, the household of the hopeful. Yah's marching army, the sheep of his pasture, is us. Don't ever forget it. The bride of Hamashiach is us. And oh, What a privilege it is to live in these exciting times when our redemption is drawing nigh, nearer and nearer. We about to go home, Zion. The 400-year prophecy is now up and right on time, like greater than Swiss watch precision. And you know them Swiss can make some watches, boy. Greater than the Swiss watch precision. Tick, 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 tick. Boy, that 400 years hit. Tick, tick, boom. Judgment on the heathen. Boom, 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 boom. They don't know what to do. They say, what's going on? 400 years. That's what's going on. Boy, you heathens is paying, ain't you? And it ain't, oh my goodness. Before we go any further, Zion, I always need to check, because out here in the country, sometimes our service be bad if you can hear the moray. If you can see the moray, okay, this is the time to put it in the chat, put a 7. If it's a little fuzzy or something, let me know. We're going to try to get that fixed. Let me look down here. Woo, them 7s is, oh, we rolling today. Hallelujah. Well, Zion, let me tell you something. If you cannot see it, I don't know how to help. I put out a video where I proved that the 400-year prophecy was about us this time, during this year, during these times. And at the end of the 400 years, which, by the way, don't miss the next letter we got to deal with, is the tithe, y'all. Woo! And how we dealing with the tithe right now at the 400-year mark is just, but anyway, y'all got a way of making out. That's why I'm using this song. He got a way of working it out for my good. But anyway, we put out the videos and we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the 400 years could speak about none other than the very children of Israel. It's about us, Zion. It always has been, and it always will be. Because we are his people. We're the chosen. And he's waking up, and the prophecies are all coming true. So on this Shabbat, Moreh Yoshiyahu Dawid is coming live to say to everyone, be encouraged and stay strong, Zion, and don't let go in these last days. Don't pull your hair out, none of that kind of stuff. Oh, no. This is about our redemption. Yes, it is about our redemption. We about to go home. Yes. Now, normally on the Shabbat, I don't try to do this on the Shabbat because normally I come, completely focused just on the text, on the Torah. But today, because of the events, I don't want this to be an elephant in the room. I don't want people to be thinking about the whole time I'm teaching. So how about we just deal with what they call it, the pink elephant in the room? Why don't we just deal with it now? Boy, the heathens are unhinged. They're out of control. Woo! They're out of control. I'm talking about, hey, wait. And if y'all think that it's over, You crazy. It ain't over. It ain't over by a long shot. Boy, I was reading and I told everybody, I said, now listen, what you're seeing now in 2020 is the beginning of sorrows. If y'all remember Morey saying that, put a 7 in this chat, please. If anybody been in this room and heard the Morey say, this is the beginning of sorrows, and taught the lesson, didn't just say it, but went to the Bible and showed all of the things that he said is the beginning of sorrows, and look at them 7s. And the reason them 7s got to be in here right now is because every now and then some people come in here for the very first time. Somebody said, hey man, check out Morey Yoshiyahu's video. So they say, I'm gonna catch him live. So we put them 7s to let the world know. Morey ain't started talking about this yesterday. Was given prophetic word from the scripture. But watch. I said to y'all, I said, you think 2020 is bad? You wait till you see 2021. I pulled up some articles. This one said, I'd like to cancel my subscription to this year. Somebody wrote said, I'd like to cancel my subscription to this year. The 7-day trial was more than enough. Wait a minute. Then they had some memes. Boy, they say, I was told that 2020 would be different. Who told you that? Not the Morey. Somebody said, This next one right here, boy, have me. Can y'all read that? Can it get any worse? Buddy, y'all remember the shortage of toilet paper? Boy, look at 2020. Boy, 2021 will be worse for the heathen. Zion, I couldn't wait. I said, I gotta share it. Wait a minute, I got another one. 2020 is finally over. That was the craziest year ever. 2021. But wait, there's more. Y'all remember them infomercials? And wait, there's more. And wait, there's more. You think it's over? No, but wait. That's the up. Hey, if y'all get mad, say I'm being pessimistic, I pull this down up there. The heathens put this out. I didn't write these things. The heathen wrote these. "2020 showing 2021 around the workplace." What is heathen? What is heathen? Oh. Say 2020 done with 2021 around the workplace. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. I got another one. This is the show. I know I normally don't do this, but I just wanted Israel to know that Moray knew what he was talking about. Look at this meme. Let me read it to you. 2020, COVID-19 vaccine is available. Then you got that Coons. Wow. 2021, a new coronavirus mutation was discovered that is spreading rapidly. Yes! Even the coons got the smile slapped off their face in 2021. The coon is even being slapped in 2021. Let me get a drink of water. I will never make it through the Shabbat. I got another one. This will come up out of the Daily Mail. I'm gonna fold this part down. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if some of y'all understand this, but I know Steve understands this. If there is 2020, then look at 2021. Woo! That thing right there had me rolling. I said, all these heathens. Well, they said, we already know. Yes, of course. You think Yah is playing in this hour? No, he's got to whoop the heathen. He's got to judge the heathens who had us in captivity. And let me tell y'all something. You think it's hard on you trying to explain it. I heard him say this on the news the other day. Zion, how are we going to explain these events to our children? What are we going to say to our kids? This is the heathen talking. Our children are stressing out. How can we explain these things to our children? What about their emotions? What about their emotional state? How do you think they feel? We gotta talk to our children. I said, it's gonna go exactly like this. You kids, come on in here and sit down. I ain't got something to tell y'all. Yeah, little Daisy and Maribel, Tucker and Billy Bob and Bubba. Y'all sit down. Daddy got to tell y'all something. Yes, Papa? What's that you want to tell us, Papa? Yeah. I think it'd be about time I tell y'all the truth. What is it, Papa? What you got to tell us, Papa? Well, you know how many people we've been calling niggers and spooks and coons and cracking jokes about all this time. Yes, Dad, you're one of the greatest nigger joke tellers in the world. Well, don't say that no more, because there's no more nigger jokes being told around here. We're not telling no more nigger jokes. Papa, what happened? Maribel and Tucker and Billy and Bubble. Now I got to say something. You listen up to your daddy real good now. You listen close to me now. I know y'all been sneaking because I looked at your history. You done snuck and watched Moray Yoshiyahu Dawid of the Ark. And I knows that black, wide-nosed, loud-mouthed nigga been telling you about the black Jesus. The black Jesus with the woolly hair and the red eyes. And I've been trying to, but where else is our country falling apart? I might as well tell y'all the truth. Now you sit down and pay attention to me, little Billy. You hear me, Maribel? It ain't easy for you, Pappy. But the way our country is falling apart, I believe I better tell y'all the truth, and you're gonna have to deal with it. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is a black man. You hear me? Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is a black man. And not only is he a black man, but his people, the children of Israel, they were slaves here in America. We had them as our slaves. And that's how we built this country, Billy. And that's how we did Maribel. That's how we did it. That's how this country got built. Off of the children of the Most High God. Now, I know that kind of messed with you, kind of disturbed you, didn't it? Give me yeah, Papa. Please, Papa. Please, Papa. I just called a little kitty nigga yesterday, Papa. Papa, I wrote a good nigga joke this morning, Papa. Please tell me this, Papa. Please. Now, y'all gonna have to be strong now. We're gonna have to fight for every little nickel and diamond we get. Because the God of them niggers is mad at us right now. And it's going to be hell to pay. And we're going to have to do something about this. But I just want y'all to know that even though y'all my children, y'all is a little dumb. Y'all got a little hard heads because how can you have hair like this and skin like this and be from here and think that Lord and Savior Jesus look like this? That's the kind of explaining that's going to be done all over the South. But Papa, you never told us that. You told us that. I know what I said. That's why I set y'all down. That's why we're having this discussion right now. Because I see it's about over him. It probably is too late for your Pappy. I done told way too many nigga jokes. I done fired too many niggas. I done chased niggas. I done cussed them out behind their back. I done cheated them out of all their money. Ain't nothing left for me but to judge me. But y'all got a chance to turn now. Oh. Yeah, that's what we going to tell the children. That's what they tell the children. They wrestling right now. Say, but Pappy, where you going, Pappy? Where you going? Well, your daddy, I'm going down to a rally. I got to go to this rally now. Our commander-in-chief called us to come out and stand for our rising. And I already know that I don't need to be going down here, but I know this might cost me something. I might end up. But before I go, I got to tell you, Maribel and Bubba, I got to tell y'all that when you're all said and done, Daddy love you. Now, don't you never forget that. And I'm really sorry for lying to you. So sorry for you about white Jesus. But that was the only way we could keep our white supremacy is to have, see, if we made with Jesus white Jesus, then people would think that we like Jesus because we white and we be white supremacy. So, Daisy, you, Maribel, and Tucker, and Billy, and Bubba. Y'all, this might be the last time because Daddy got to go. See, I already told people I was going to show up to the rally, and I got to go. Papa, if you going down there, I'm going with you. You hush your mouth, boy. You hush your mouth. You don't be speaking against your pappy. I'm still your daddy. But you lied about white Jesus, but I'm still your pappy. And I say you stay here and look after Maribel and Bubble. Here they are right here. They all at the rally. But you mean what you gonna tell your kids? You ain't got nothing but to tell them. This is what you tell them. This is our last hope, son. We gonna it's your last ditch effort. Try to hold on. I got news. I got news for you, Billy Bob Jr. You up against something so bigger than you, you have no idea. You up against the King of Kings, the Master of Masters, Yehoshua HaMashiach. Get it straight, you heathens. It's over. Titanic hit the iceberg. You had a chance. Boy, I've been hollering about it too for a long time. He's not. You can't do Yah's people like this and think you get away with it. There was a time he got to wave his hand a second time, you know. I hope you understand that this ain't something where you're going to get one wave of the hand and they go into captivity and serve you heathens forever. You think that's what the prophecy said? Or does the prophecy say we coming up out of there with great spoil? Great spoil. And I'm going to tell you something. If y'all would be honest, we already have the spoil. You just don't know you have it. All right, what's the great spoil? What's the great spoil? What's the great substance? Come here. What's the great substance that he said you was coming out with? Truth. Torah. The word of Yah is greater than riches, greater than silver, greater than gold, greater than rubies, greater than diamonds, greater than powers, greater than principalities. Understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. You're coming out with better health, coming out with stronger families. And if you be honest, most of y'all ain't broke. You acting broke. You got money. If you got more than 5 pairs of shoes, that's great spoil. You can only wear one at a time. You got more than 4 or 5 changes of clothes, you got great spoil. You got food in your refrigerator and you getting checks in the mail and not having to work for it. I believe that's great spoil. They about to cut another check. They can keep cutting checks all they want. It's too late. Now cut the checks. And then y'all spend the checks. Or at least cash the checks. But it's too late, you heathens. But I know what you're trying to do. You're doing the same thing that the Egyptians did to us. When they saw that their country was over, they were like, man, well, can we give y'all something on your way out? Say, yeah, we'll give them $2,000 a piece every month. $2,000? Oh, no, per person. Oh, that's a little bit better. I'll take that. It might not give me 5, but it's better than what I had. Oh, y'all see, nobody could see that. Nobody could see it, but the Bible saw it. Say, oh, you coming out with great substance. And some of y'all got more than one car, got money in the bank. And when I look at our people, the majority of them, I don't care where they live, they got gold on their fingers, gold in their ears, gold in their mouth, gold around their neck, gold on their wrist, gold on their ankles, gold in their toes, gold on their belly button, gold piercing in their noses. What are you talking about? Y'all ain't got nothing. You draped in gold. You got more gold than the Egyptians gave our ancestors when Moshe brought them out during the Passover. You, as a nation, you got more wealth than they had. They didn't have nary a car, nary a motorcycle, nary a bicycle, nary a air condition. They didn't have houses. They just had what they could carry. And almost everyone watching me right now, you own more stuff than you can carry. He fulfilled his will. If everybody understand that, would you please place a 9 in this chat to let the world know? Say, wait a minute, Moray, it's a new perspective. I think I get it. Put a 9 in this chat. While I welcome my administrators in the room, Toda Rabbah, and all of my father's children, 539 of y'all in this room on this holy Shabbat, giving y'all praise, honor, and glory, and understanding truth. Boy, what a week, huh? Y'all saw these pictures. I'm just showing you a couple of them. If I would have told y'all that this was going to happen last year, because obviously I didn't know. I just knew that things was, I could see basically that the way things are going, couldn't nothing good. But I would have never been able to see it this clear. We're about to go home. The nation that held us captive for 400 years is now being judged. And believe me, it won't stop here. This is just one of the most famous nations that held us captive. But we were held captive all over the places where primarily the European took us, dragged us, delivered us, scattered us to. So the reason why I had you put the 9s in there, to let everybody understand that this right here, this going on right here, this is European, quote unquote, so-called American business. It shows that this thing is over. It was an experiment anyway. It was called an experiment, but they called democracy or a representative republic was an experiment anyway. So this is what happened. That's the end. That's what you're gonna get. This is the end of it. This is how it ends, just like this. And if y'all think it's over, then you're the one crazy. You don't even understand that. As I speak, I've heard people say, oh no, this is just the first thing. So what am I telling you, Zion? How about I tell you like this? 187-year-old Joe Biden said, he frail. He walked to the podium. I want to say, first of all, yes, it's totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. In great American our country. But I want to speak now to the niggers. I mean the Negro. I mean the niggers. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking now to the niggers and the Negro. Don't you try this at home. Here we go. Here we go, right here. Here you go. Let me talk to the niggers now. I mean the Negroes. Oh, you black-skinned Negroes. The first thing I want to say is, don't y'all try this. If this would have been a mob of niggers, I mean of Negroes, boy, there would have been so much blood scattered all over the world. If this would have been, if somehow 100,000 black and brown people would have come to the Capitol, the choppers would have been at the ready, and Everybody. So please, you niggas, please hear me. Even though I'm not your president yet, and I'm almost 200 years old, but I'm telling you, please don't try this, because no police will escort you out and offer you a pig ear sandwich and some sweet tea. So please, that's not what he's trying to warn you. That's why I had to hurry up. I had to hurry up and make a video and say, hey, even the oldest man on earth tried to tell you, don't you get involved with that. You get out there, you're going to get killed. You go out there, you're going to get killed. Now, y'all better hear them already, because everybody got somebody who think they can go on out there and mingle in with them good old white folks, huh? Mm-hmm. They'll turn on you. I was going to print the picture, but I didn't want to embarrass my sister in this last day. But she called herself in Los Angeles. Y'all can type it in. She called herself going to go to a Stop the Steal rally in LA. She claimed she was just walking by. Boy, them heathens grabbed her, beat her, snatched the wig off her head, and commenced to call her all kind of N-words that rhyme with trigger. And it took one of them burly old ex-linebackers that used to play down in the swamp lands of Louisiana. He had little compassion over the little negress. Boy, he grabbed her, man, and surrounded like a big old white bear. And she looked this small, and he was covering her. He like, y'all don't kill her now, don't do that. And he tried to walk her. So I've been saying, y'all stay away from that. Unless you want wigs flying off and heads beat in. That's not your business. And if they let the machine guns go, they taking you out first. Just telling you. Listen to the oldest man on earth when he told you that. He said, no, if that would have been black people, niggers, because, Joe's prejudiced. That would have been, I shudder. I shudder to think what would have happened to them. That's what he said. If y'all watching me know that that's what the oldest man on earth said, would you put a 12 in this chat for the 12 tribes of Israel, please? Would you put a 12 in this chat for the 12 tribes of Israel? And they said it all over the news. Everybody was saying the same thing. Boy, what if that would have been black folk? Oh, they'd have been killed. Oh, what if that had been 100,000 Negroes? Oh, they'd have been killed. Oh, they'd have been all shot. Oh, there would have been no. There would have been no. Look, now, y'all know I can't see them. With 633 people in the room and them 12s rolling through here like they are, it lets me know something. I'm not the only one heard that. And I'm not the only one saw it. What are they letting you know? That ain't nothing changed. That's what they letting you know. The oppression of our people is still ongoing. The slaughter and the anger and the prejudice and the white supremacy is still alive and well, as demonstrated during the demonstration. That those people were able to do that, man, and other than about 4 or 5 people getting shot, well, they let everybody else pretty much go. But if that would have been you, Zion, if that would have been you, 300,000-400,000, some people say it's 600,000-700,000 strong, storming Congress, they'd have dropped the nuclear. They'd have blew up their own White House and Congress building. Talking about it's been desecrated. It's almost over. And on this Shabbat, the Moray had to deal with what's called the pink elephant in the room. Let everybody know I saw it. And I want you to know, calm down. You all right. You're Israel. The king is coming back for you. Now, who was in that crowd? Who do you think this is? I know what you're going to say. Moray, that's just a bunch of poor white trash. That's what you think? You see these pictures of these people down here? And you see these people right here? Who do you think is in this crowd right here? Or who do you think these people is climbing through Congress windows and throwing tear gases? Who do you think those people are? You think that's just a couple of folk, poor white trash? That's what you think? Coming up out of trailer park, that's what you think? If you think that, you crazy. I've been trying to tell y'all. They started arresting some people. Poor white trash can't travel to Congress by airplane, stay in hotels, eat at restaurants, get signs, shirts, gotta eat while you're there, guns, ammunition, flag. That's not who this is. Yeah, I'm helping Zion on this Shabbat. That's not who this is. So more, well, who is it? You know, they catching them now. Doctors. Yeah, I said doctors. Let that sink into your head. Doctors. So that if that's the doctor in your county and you get sick, what do you think that doctor is going to do to your black behind? To your black Hebrew Israelite self? I said doctors. I'm talking about medical doctors. They were arresting them today. Guess what's in this crowd? RNs, registered nurses from all over the country. Idaho, Nebraska, California, Mississippi. Nurses, RNs. I want you to understand, like, at a hospital, they work. That's where they work. Imagine what they think of you when you come in there. You know who else they're arresting? Military people. I know you're saying, Maury, come on, man. I thought that was just some poor white trailer trash out there. Who told you that? Well, you know how hard it would be for you to find some trailer trash in that crowd? It might be like 2, 3 of them, but the other 1 million, they got jobs or had jobs. They interviewed them. You know who else is in here? In that crowd? I'm trying to help Zion. You know who else in this crowd? Ex-police and current police. I know. And y'all wonder, like, why so much being quote unquote the black Israelite being killed all the time and being shot all the time, the chief of police and the captains and stuff, they hear. They all know it's about you, is my point. They know they're losing their country to you. Let's not finish. Let's not stop now. They interviewed in this crowd a lawyer. Now imagine that. You get in trouble with your black Hebrew self, Israelite, in the land of your captors. And so you need to go and get a public defender because most of us can't afford it. We can't afford to have no lawyer on retainer. And find out that your public defender is climbing through, it's smashing Congress windows and climbing up balconies and scaling walls like spider monkeys. You like, whoa, boy, y'all got super mob skills. You pulling off stuff nary a Negro Israelite would ever try. Because number one, we ain't swinging on no scalpels 3 stories up trying to prove a point. Nah, when we go out there, we're going to prove our point from the ground. But that heathen was scaling walls like spider monkeys. I said, do you see these heathen? Then they interview him and said, I'm a very successful businessman. You what? Yeah, I own 7 businesses downtown. And I'm very ashamed of what I've done and brought shame to my family. Whoa, partner. You're a very successful businessman. You done put on war paint and start climbing up sides of Congress buildings. And then you just snap out of it like, oh, shoot, I got to go back to work. You know who else in this crowd? I know some of y'all think I'm making this up, but you're going to see I'm telling the truth. It's coming out anyway. You know who else in this crowd? Watch this. Elected officials. What does that mean, Maury? I'm talking about like mayors, city managers, like elected officials, people who run for like local governments and things like that. They were in this crowd. People who swear an oath. People who are making decisions over how the city is going to be ran and how the county is going to be ran, or how the state is going to be ran, or how things are going to be distributed from one community to another community. That's in this crowd. Elected officials. They're supposed to be elected for the good of the people. How do you know that? Because they're interviewing them as I speak. You know who else in this crowd? Let me get my glasses. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. Cavemen is in this crowd. Vikings is in this crowd. Wait, whoa! Yes, they got cavemen and Vikings. And where'd the caveman come from? I thought all the cavemen had died. Oh, no wonder y'all keep pushing this cave. We came from cavemen. They still here. And they're storming Congress buildings in 2021. Boy, I saw them in monkey suits. I saw them with dead animal horns coming up the top of their head. Boy, I was trying to eat my popcorn. I said, whoa, this is getting interesting. I thought the cavemen was all dead. Boy, the cavemen like, ha, I'm still here. I said, boy, y'all, I was talking to my Abba Yah. I said, boy, y'all is pulling out the cave to let it be known to the whole world. If y'all know, Moray is telling what y'all love, which is the truth. Put a 21 in this chat, please. Put a 21. Caveman. I said, boy, no wonder they get so mad when we try to tell them evolution ain't real. They be like, oh man, hey, dude, I'm sorry. We were made in the very image and likeness of Yah. So therefore, when you talk to us about evolution, it bothers us because I don't know a Hebrew breathing oxygen that think he come from a monkey. But the Hebrew won't even let you, but the heathen won't even let you teach in his school unless you believe he came from a monkey. And the way they were scaling Congress walls with no ropes. I'm just talking about, wait a minute. They scaling Congress walls, man, with penny loafers. I'm like, dang, y'all don't even need mountain climbing shoes. Woo! Y'all can just get up there with some penny loafers or some cowboy boots. It don't matter. You climb the wall. I said, Zion, I had to deal with this pink elephant in the room before we can even get started. That what you saw, y'all know I'm telling the truth on this Shabbat. Woo! And they meant business. They meant business. And I hate to be the bearer of this news, but it ain't over. You heathens remember this now? You heathens getting it now? Is it coming back to you? You heathens. You remember this? The crucified one. You see them muscles? You see that jaw? You see that nose? That's us. Look at him. Look at me. That's kinfolk. You know where this statue is? You know where this statue is? In the Vatican. I let that sink in. But for every picture they show us is white lipstick, rouge wearing, white blonde, white highlights and white. What do you? That's what they show you. But this is what they actually have. This is what they actually have. Zion. If y'all could see that, put a 27 in this chat. Let the world see it. This is what they have. They know exactly what he looked. I should say, physically, they understood it. They knew he was black. They knew he's an Israelite. They know he's East African. They know he was buff and strong. He was the lion of the tribe of Yehuda. I keep telling y'all, he is the lion of the tribe of Yehuda. King David was the greatest warrior we ever had. Y'all need to keep David must look like this too. You know, the Mike Tyson type, the kind of person that just don't nobody mess with as far as I'm talking about physical. Of course, he's a lot more. I'm not talking about physical. He's probably one of them guys that nobody messed with, no doubt. And he had ninja skills with the sword, with the fist. And he said that his descendant, Hamashiach, would be his master. Which means Hamashiach would just walk in the room, King David would bow down. Like, oh, no, you get it. You got it. Nothing compared to you. And now you understand why every time they tried to take Hamashiach, he'd walk right through them. Nobody gonna mess with him. They asked him, how come y'all didn't take him? Man, please. You take him. No, you take him. No, you take him. No, you take him. They already knew. Boy, he'll whoop the brakes off of them. Are you serious? Y'all must not understand who our king is. In Israel, our king was our greatest warrior. So if Hamashiach was here, he's the king of kings. If you ever take out time and read your Bible correctly and slowly, you will discover that he was so feared while he was here that even the night they came to arrest him, they came with a mob. It wasn't no one or two. A mob, at least 100 to 200 people. Take one man. A centurion was a soldier, but century meant 100. So minimum, there's 100 people. Minimum. 100 men with torches, lantern, swords, knives, staffs, all that to come get him. And if he wanted to, he would have whooped them all. Just get that in your head. When I found this picture right here at the Vatican, which I told you, by the way, all the books are open, Zion. Abayah is going to open it all for us now because we're about to go home. So he's got to change the image of who you think is coming back here so that you won't be looking for some white sky daddy Caesar Borgia to show up. That's not going to happen. Jeb, you better tell Maribel and you better tell little Bubba. You better tell them the truth if you want to, if there's any hope for them. I spent a whole hour, Zion. I'm going to give y'all some bonus time today because I wanted you to understand something. This is it. There's a mutation of the COVID gene, and they're calling it a rapid mutation. They said the vaccine that's out right now may not even be able to handle this new strain. I said, wait, whoa, this one haven't even been distributed. I'm not getting to that because I already told y'all my stance on it. I ain't shooting no dead babies in my body knowingly. Forget it. So they keep pushing the Hebrew to do this. That's everything's about, we got to get the blacks to do it. The blacks got to do it. So every time they show, and I want you guys to pay attention because you're the awakening remnant. Every time they show the vaccines, every single time they show the vaccines, it's always a black person taking it. A black person, a black person, a black person, a black person. A black person is giving it, or a black person is taking it, or a black person is asking for it. An old lady, she's going to be black. I need that vaccine. We got to have that vaccine. You got another coon. Yeah, we got to get it. Oh, I took it. That's nothing. It's just a black. They worried about, you are the one that have to take it so that hopefully you are the one that gets your DNA altered to the point that you're so rebellious against Yah that he will just forget waving his hand a second time and allow the nation to be destroyed and white supremacy continue to reign on the planet. That's what it's about. I know that sounds far-fetched, but that's what it's about. It's about that altering your DNA, turning you into something that you ain't. Same thing the devil did to Eve in the garden. It's all tricks. We're going to fix that here. Hopefully, we're going to try to help Zion. This is before we get to the lesson today. Giving you enough Zion to hold you and to strengthen you. And to explain one more time, stay away from that stuff. This is not your business. It's their business. The oldest man in the world tried to tell you. He said, boy, this would have been a much different scene. How different? He said, I shudder to think. Zion, if this has been helpful as an introduction to today's Shabbat, if this gave you some encouragement, gave you some insight, if this some kind of way lifted you up and helped you able to see things in a better and stronger way, I would ask that you be so kind, place a 100 in this chat. And we're going to continue. Place a 100, please. We got 828 people in the room. Please place a 100 in here. And we're going to continue. And Todah Rabbah for them 100s. Because Abba Yah is saying something to his people. And I asked Abba Yah, how will I address Zion on this day? And I believe that he led me to address it the way I did it, by showing you what's going on, how it's going on, why, by telling you all, if you want to be safe, you better stay away from that, and giving you examples. Also informing Zion, who was in that crowd. I didn't even mention the school teachers. I know y'all saying, Maury, come on, man. Yes! High school teachers. Now imagine if your black student is sitting in her class, sitting in his class. How in the world are they getting fair treatment? How are they being taught that they're the house of Israel? How are they being taught that they're the apple of his eye? How are they being taught the truth about who they are and whose they are? And their teachers at the rally breaking through Congress buildings and windows and doors, smashing police's heads down to the white meat. It's in there. You know, this is a good chance to say something too. This is why you should support the ARK. Really. When we come on this camera, come behind these cameras, because you know right now we can't travel like we were, but we were traveling all over America and all over the world teaching. And now we're doing the best we can to teach from these videos and stuff. It's worth supporting this ministry because it's helping you understand who you are, whose you are. It's helping you to be able to explain to your family and your friends and loved ones what time it is and what manner of people we should be in these last days. And yes, I know that there's other ministries that are worthy of support, and you should support them. But the very last thing you should do is just decide you're not going to support at all. That's probably the worst thing you could do right now, Zion. Decide you're just going to be in the last days, we're getting ready to go home, and all of a sudden you just decide, no, I'm not going to support the work of the kingdom, whether it's the ARK or anybody else. Listen, no, let's support the people that are putting in the work, that can help Zion in these last days. We have some other videos that we're going to be making. We got some plans, and we don't want to put all these plans out online and everything, but we got some plans to help Israel, to help Zion further learn who they are and whose they are. And I pray that you all are being helped by this work, encouraged by this work, and with what, 850 people in the room, you're being blessed, you're being helped. And somebody would say, well, with 850 people in the room, man, if everybody just gave $1, y'all know this is YouTube. 850 people not getting ready to give $1. I know that's the way black people think, most of us. Boy, start counting them. It doesn't work like that. It's always that faithful few. And if you think I'm lying, just think about yourself. See, it's a faithful few. And those of you who are supporting because you know that this is worthwhile, Toda Rabbi. Because I made a promise to you. And my promise to you is I'm going to keep studying, researching, praying, and asking Abba Yah to show me what he wants me to see so I can show it to Zion. And I'm doing my best to be faithful unto death. This is the Shabbat. And we give to support the work because it's a work worth supporting. We are. Where's my brother at? There it is. I want to hear that. Why do we give and support a work like this? We're the Israelites. Toda Rabbi for being kind. You can give, you can see it in the chat how to support the work.
We're the Israelites, G. By now you can't see. Type it in, I beg you please. Type it in, I beg you please. We the
So Toda Rabbi for you all taking out time to support this work.
Type it in, I beg you please. Type it in, I beg you please. No religion, my brother. Straight roots and culture. See the people over there in Israel, those guys are vultures. They took us away, made us into slaves, took away our last names. Animals we became, didn't even have any shoes on our feet. Gave us crap
for those of you
the same
who are
food we still
supporting this work.
Oxtail, pigtail, cow food, chicken food, take a look. Hey, we've been conditioned, you see. Biggest weapon, Christianity. Teaching the people to follow traditions that our ancestors never heard or seen. Christmas, not in the Bible, G. Easter, not in the Bible, G. Lent, not in the Bible, G. Rah.
We're the Israelites.
That's not what the pastor preached to me. He told me the Lord
we have to support each other, Zion.
That we
have to stand up for one another.
And order. Without order, there's no order. How can you be judged without no borders? No blueprint, no rota, no instructions, no guidelines, no manual of how to rise. Real eyes, realize, realize, Israelites, it's time to rise. Oh, it's time to rise. It's time to rise. We the Israelites, G. By now you can't see. Type it in, I beg you please. Type it in, I beg you please. We the Israelites, G. By now you can't see. Type it in, I beg you please. Type it in, I beg you please.
Y'all let us pray our master's prayer in Hebrew.
Lay out heavy and lay down, you say, Beshan Renu Makora.
After this manner, therefore, pray ye, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debt as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Why? Because thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 The name of our lesson, the truth behind the murder of Yehochanan the baptizer. I'm talking about the murder of Yehochanan the baptizer. On today, on this Shabbat, we're going to expose the truth behind the murder of Yehochanan. Y'all know him in English as John the Baptist. And first of all, that word Baptist on his name don't mean he was a Baptist. Boy, you stop that foolishness. You don't have time for that. He was given that title because he was sent by Abba to baptize the lost sheep of the house of Israel in preparation, because the word means to be cleansed. And so therefore he was used symbolically to wash the bride of Hamashiach before he got here. That's the picture of preparing the way of the master. So the whole nation had to be washed before Hamashiach began his reign and his rule. That's why when Yehochanan saw Hamashiach Yehoshua, he said, behold, the Lamb of Yah, which taketh away the sin of the whole world. Hamashiach steps down in the baptismal water, says, baptize me. Yehochanan, that y'all know as John, Yehochanan turns back to Yehoshua and says, first of all, let's get this straight. I need to be baptized, cleansed, washed by you. These other people don't know who you are. I know who you are. And if anybody needs to be cleansed, it's not me cleansing you. It's you cleansing me. You washing me. You baptizing me. Because when it comes to you, I'm not even worthy to untie your sandals. Hamashiach, the king, said, our king said, you have to allow this to happen. It fulfills scripture. It points to the fact that I'll be the anointed one, that I am associating with my people, that I'm their king, and I've come to save them. Man, allow it. It'll fulfill the text. John said, all right. But only because you said this is about fulfilling scripture. Hamashiach went down in the water and came up and the heavens opened. Y'all should read it. I tell you, boy, you read your Bible, you find out it's so much beautiful writing in there. When our king was baptized, heaven opened up. The Shamayim just split. And the Ruach HaKodesh descended, watch this, not as a dove, in the form of a dove. In other words, this is a beautiful picture of the breath of Yah being breathed from the Shamayim, and the breath like a dove comes down and lights up on Hamashiach. Means he was full of the Ruach and under his control. And the voice from heaven, Shamayim, said, this is him. This is my beloved son. This is him. This is the lamb I've been telling y'all about from the beginning. This is the one that's going to crush the head of the serpent. This is him. This is the one that I've been telling everybody about. You've been waiting as a culture ever since you've been on this planet. Here he is. So John, Yehochanan, was a high priest, or was supposed to be a high priest. He was in line to become a priest, but there was a coup. Oh yeah, I'm already got to help you see it. There was a coup. Some Hebrews, Israelites, and some of them believe they were Edomites. They were sold out to Rome, and they killed, murdered, took over the temple. And as a result, John had to run into the wilderness. His father, Zechariah, most likely was murdered. And his mother, they said, didn't live long either because she was already old. So the priesthood is now in the hands of thugs. It's now in the hand of Annas and Caiaphas. They were like mob bosses that were working for the government, perverting wisdom, knowledge, and understanding and justice to the people. While the real priest was out in the wilderness hollering, prepare ye the way of Hamashiach. He's a miracle child. We've already talked about that, his miracle birth. Yehochanan, when we open this up, is in prison. So he goes to prison. We're going to read why. Because ultimately, I want to show y'all, based on the Bible, how he was killed, how he was murdered, why he was murdered. Matthew chapter 14. The books are open. The scales will fall off all your eyes now. All you have to do is ask Abba Yah to show it to you and then seek it with your whole heart. Watch how the whole scriptures are going to be coming alive. The books are no longer sealed to us. We will be able to seal them and understand them just as though he spoke it to us himself, because really he did. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Hamashiach. Pause. So Hamashiach, his is now what y'all would call famous. This is during the year of popularity. our king's life can be divided in at least three ways. The first way you could look at his life, the first part of his life is the years of obscurity. Right. And then, so you're always going to have a year where people really don't know you. And then, of course, he goes through the time where he's working. Right. So you talk the time where he's like doing the work. And then you have what you would call the year of popularity. Okay, so that's where we are right now. And then you're going to end up in his years of opposition. So you have when he is first, he starts off, he's in obscurity, and then he's during the time of popularity, and then there'll be a time of opposition. So that's how you can divide his life into three main ways. So this now is during the time of his popularity. He's no longer obscure. He's no longer just in Nazareth and in Galilee. Now his fame, talking about Hamashiach, now Mashiach's fame has reached Herod. Herod is alive. And remember, this is Herod Tetrarch. This is not the Herod that was alive during the birth of Hamashiach 30 years ago. That Herod is dead. Okay. He died, and everybody who was trying to kill Hamashiach was dead with him. This is now his son, and some people say it could be his nephew, but these people were so screwed up mentally and sexually and stuff. It could be, it was sick. I'm gonna prove it in the text too. But Zion, hear this. So when Hamashiach is famous, which is his year of popularity, his years of popularity, the word made it to the government. It went all the way to the government. The king, who was set up by Rome, heard of the fame of Hamashiach. This is Herod Tetrarch. And said to his servants, this is John the Baptist. He's risen from the dead. Therefore, mighty works do show forth themselves in him. So Herod the Tetrarch murdered John the Baptist, Yehochanan, the preacher and the prophet that told the whole world who Hamashiach is. This man is responsible for his death. He murdered him. And I want you to understand something, the way the mind of this nasty, stinking, dirty heathen is that the murder of Yehochanan was still on his conscience. So he was always paranoid. Just like the murder of our people, the murder of Israel, the murder of what y'all call a black man, the murder of the true Negro Israelite is always on the minds of these heathens that murdered us. And what is their greatest fear? That we rise from the dead. What's their greatest fear? Is that they get their comeuppance. I'm using them slang country terms that the heathen understand. That's what they worried about more than anything. They know what go around, come around. They know that Yah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap. If y'all understand that, Put a 200 in the chat, please. And we're going to, with that 200, I want to read Mark's account of this murder, because Mark is going to give us more detail. Same story, just told in more detail than Netanyahu. So this is John Mark Yahakanah Marcus. Mark chapter 6, verse 14. And King Herod, same story, same king, heard of him. Heard of who? Heard of Hamashiach. For his name was spread abroad. Oh, yes, same thing Matthew said. That's the exact same thing Netanyahu said. So now we have what? 2 witnesses. And the Bible says by 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Get that straight, you non-messianic maniac. We actually got 3 witnesses. Actually, we got 4 witnesses on this. 4. I'm just dealing with the second witness. He said that John the Baptist was risen from the dead again. I said, man, must be John the Baptist. Therefore, mighty works do show forth themselves in him. He's a paranoid schizophrenic at this point, and a perverted child of the devil. Prove it. Others said that it's Elias. That's Elijah. Get it straight, you heathens. Others said that is a prophet or one of the prophets. They trying to talk to this old wicked Edomite king. He's from Idumea. Idumea is Edom. He's an Edomite. He's not even one of the children of Israel, and yet he's sitting as a king in Israel because he works for Caesar. He works for Rome. This Edomite got a government job. He represents the powers that be. He had no right sitting on the throne in Israel, other than the fact that according to the Holy Manuscript, way back in Genesis, Jacob, who is Israel, said that the scepter would not depart from Yehuda. In other words, the scepter is the royal rod that the king, I told y'all, he carries 2 things. The king always carries a shepherd's staff and a scepter. A scepter could represent a sword. A shepherd's staff represents leadership, teaching, but being a shepherd, a watcher. And the scepter represented royalty, or the sword, because royalty always had the authority to do what? Either allow life or to take life, to kill. He said the scepter would not depart from Yehuda until what? Shiloh came. So who's Shiloh? Represents the coming of our king. If y'all understand that, put a 300 in the chat. We'll keep it moving. This dude is paranoid. He's not a Hebrew. He's not an Israelite. He's an Edomite. And he's working for Rome because the scepter has departed from Yehuda. Yehuda does not, just like the prophecy said, Yehuda does not have the scepter. They are no longer under self-rule. Can I share something with you? Right now, we are Yehuda. Are we under self-rule, or somebody else ruling over us? See how the Bible gonna open up to us? You see how everything hidden is now being revealed, Zion? It's not even hard study now. We can read it like, man, of course, there it is right there. Of course. the scepter that belongs to our king, right? Because of the sins of Yehuda, we lost the scepter. And ever since, we have been under the rule, most of the time under the rule of a satanic, European, Eurocentric, white supremacy government. And if you understand that, put a 500,000 before we even go further, because you ought to be able to see it. You haven't been, Zion, you and I haven't been under self-rule since like Babylon. The scepter was gone. Why? Laws, statutes, and commandments were broken. And ever since then, you've been a slave. And even when you weren't a slave, you were under someone else's authority. Babylon, Assyria, Greece, then the Roman Empire. After the Roman Empire went through all of that and we tried to run and scatter, y'all already know them same Romans, them same Greeks, them same Europeans found us. Where? In Negro land. Hallelujah. Y'all stay right there. Let me show you something. Maury Yoshiyahu got his requesting skills to a high level so I can make a request and try to get it. So I said, boy, I really like that map you got there, Yaron. Boy, that's one of a kind, man. That's a beautiful map. I was like, boy, it'd be nice if I had one. That's the high skill requesting level. Y'all can't get there overnight. You got to learn how to request like that. He said, Maury, I think I got one upstairs. I said, I got to have it, man. He said, oh, no problem. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. And he went upstairs, man, and got it for me. Told I Rabbi. What? I said, Maury, what are you showing me? I know y'all can't really see this, so I'm going to read it for you. If you think of the map of Africa, this is the top part of Africa. This map is put together by Europeans, not Israelites. This was during the slave trade. It says Negro land. Now, I'm going to do a whole thing on this later, but for now, I just want you to see something. Right here, you got what they said, the Tooth Coast. You know what that really is? Ivory Coast. The next one you got, right next to it, it says Gold Coast. Guess what they got from there? Gold. Does that make sense? That's how they named it. So you got Tooth Coast, where they got ivory from. They call it the Ivory Coast now. Then they got the Gold Coast, where they got gold from. Guess what the next one's called? Slave Coast. Guess what they got at the Slave Coast? Slaves. More, I learned that. Oh, no. You ain't learned what I'm going to tell you. Hold on. Let me show it to you. When you look at what's called the area that says Slave Coast, and you look inside, it says Kingdom of Judah. Right there where it says Slave Coast, it says Kingdom of Judah. Yahoo, man, I heard you talking about that, man, but I didn't know that they actually. Of course, they knew they was getting Yehuda. It named the coast. The people were Judah. Why is Judah on the west coast of Africa when we are East Africans? How did we get to the west coast? We was running from them Romans. We were running from them Greeks. We were doing what Hamashiach told us to do, flee to the mountains. Man, we ran till we couldn't run no more. So where did we end up? On the west coast. Can't go no further. You be in the water. Do you know that white man found us? The true children of Israel, and sent them dirty, nasty slave ships all the way around the Horn of Africa to come to Judah and pick us up because we were known as the nation builders. Everywhere we've been, we've built nations. Every great nation on this planet became great because of us. So when they wanted to start this whole European greatness, they had to get us. So, Maury, that's a long ways. Why'd you do that? Because I need to show you in the Bible, we didn't have the authority over our own nation. There was sellout Pharisees, scribes, Sadducees. We had an Edomite king and a cabinet that was European and Roman running our nation until finally, y'all know what ended up happening. 70 AD, we got ran out of there and we didn't run north. How you gonna run north and that's where the enemy's coming from? Does that make any sense? No, we ran south. We ran into Africa. And eventually we made it over to what they call the kingdom of Judah. And there they picked us up by the millions. Sold mostly by the Hamites who were already living there, who didn't like us being there because of how Abba Yah continued to prosper us. And let me tell y'all something, he's still prospering us today. We ain't gonna get out of here today. Y'all, let me get to this text. Let me get back into this mark. I need to show you something. So Herod it heard about the fame of Hamashiach. He had no idea who he is, but he's paranoid because he's killed John. And he knows John was a prophet. So he's now asking the people, who is this person? For Herod thought it was John that he beheaded, risen from the dead. His greatest fear. Well, he had no idea. Now we're going to get the back. We're getting ready to get to the truth and expose it. For Herod himself has sent forth and laid hold upon Yehochanan, bound him in prison. Why? Why did you come pick up Yehochanan? For Herodias' sake. For who? Who is Herodias? Let me show y'all this nasty, dirty, stinking, perverted government. This Edomite done married his own brother's wife. I ain't talking about Aki. No, I ain't talking about distance. I'm talking about same blood, his brother, his real brother, same daddy. Same daddy. He divorced his wife. It's all written down in the annals of history. He had all kind of women. That wasn't the point, but his main wife, he couldn't stand her. He fell in love with his brother's wife. She couldn't stand him, so she left him and married Herod, took on the name Herodias and had a daughter named Shalom. Some people say Salome, but most likely it was just Shalom or Salome, which her name really came from, Shalom. That's a whole nother area, but anyway. So what did John do to Herod's wife that would make Herod murder John? Well, it was high drama. Let me read it to you. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hand upon John and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. Oh, by the way, Philip is still alive. It ain't like Philip is still living. For he had married her. For John had said to Herod, what did he say? It is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. Stop. I told you all, I spent 20 years studying Greek. I know. And I've been spending the last 10 years trying to forget it. Because when you have all that Greek in your head, it's really difficult sometimes to see things from a Hebraic perspective. These words, the Greek words keep jumping out at me and things that I've been studying. So when you look from the Hebrew, it's so different sometimes. So that's why you all don't hear me talking much about the Greek. But here I got to show you something about how this sentence is written. The way the sentence is written in Greek gives us an insight that the English doesn't give us. And because they still got our Hebrew copies, I'm going to show you what the Greek tense is. In the Greek tense, it says that John didn't just say unto Herod, it is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. In the Greek context, in the actual writing, it says that John kept saying, like over and over and over again. He didn't just say it one time. He just kept saying it over and over and over again. It's not right for you to have your brother's wife. It ain't right for you to have your brother's wife. Then it ain't lawful for you to have your brother's wife. He just kept hollering that out over and over and over again. And this pissed off Herodias, who, by the way, is European royalty. I want you to catch that in your head. She is a Jezebel. She's a heathen. She's European royalty. Her bloodline go back to the leaders of what they call the regal and royal families of the earth. She's the devil. And she's connected to all them satanic bloodlines that still rule today. They know so much about her. When you go in your history and read her lineage and her history and Herod's lineage and history, and you find it all goes into Rome. It goes from Edom to Rome. You can read it. It's in your, I don't have time to do it all, but I'm trying to show you. So Yehochanan is telling the king that it's not Torah for him to be married to his brother's wife, and his brother Philip is still alive. That's the violation of Torah. But remember, Herodias, she's like Jezebel. She ain't no Hebrew Israelite. She don't know nothing about the law, statutes, and commandments. She's not following Torah. Do y'all remember what Jezebel did? I'm going to give you a quick synopsis. Ahab, her husband, because we married out. Y'all told us not to do it, but married outside our culture. And he brought in this Baal worshiping heifer named Jezebel. And she was the devil. And one day he was looking at Naboth's vineyard. It was really close. He had a vineyard, next to the palace. And he was like, man, that would be convenient. If I had a vineyard this close to the palace, I could just grow my own grapes right here. So the king goes and asks Naboth, hey, man, can you sell me your land? Because I'll buy it and then give you some money to go build somewhere else because it's close to the palace. And Naboth was like, dude, come on, man. We don't do that in Israel. Can't give up land in Israel. It's the families. The land of Israel got divided. The promised land got divided among the 12 sons of Israel. Y'all know that whole story. But anyway, so he was like, man, we can't do that. So the king goes back home and he started sitting on the edge of the bed. He crying. Jezebel walked in and was like, what's up? And then he was like, Naboth don't sell me his vineyard because, he's talking about, he can't do that and all that. So what ends up really happening is she was like, I don't understand this. You're supposed to be the king. Ain't the whole kingdom yours? Remember, this heifer don't know nothing about Israel. Don't know that our leaders are first among equals. She doesn't know that our leaders are our brothers that Yah just chooses. She don't know that our leaders are not sovereign. Our leaders work under the sovereign. Israel uses Torah as our guide, and every leader is under Yah. We don't have this thing of absolute sovereignty like these Europeans and these pagans and these heathens do. So she tells him, don't worry about it. Wipe your eyes, you little punk king, you. I'll go get that land. And boy, she set up a trap for Nabal and killed him and took the vineyard. And to make a long story short, or had him killed, I should say, make a long story short, she died and the dogs licked her blood. When they went to go bury her, they couldn't find nothing but the palm of her hand, the sole of her feet, and I think her skull. The rest of it was gone. The dogs ate her. And Ahab died the same. He died in the chariot wearing some other person's gear and bled out. And the dogs came and lapped up his blood because we have a Elohim and an Abba in heaven who sits high but looks low. Not having that kind of foolishness get away with it in Zion. And the king bled out in the chariot and the dogs licked the blood. That's the same kind of way this heifer is right here. This dirty dog, perverted daughter of the devil. She's a demon. What's her problem? She mad at the preacher. Why is she mad at the preacher? Because he keeps saying over and over again, their relationship ain't right. So why don't she just ignore him? Because she's Satan. And Herod is Satan. And I asked Abba Yah, if I'm wrong about this, I've asked Abba Yah for forgiveness. I have already asked Abba Yah to allow me to speak with great honor for Yehochanan. And I've asked Yah to allow me to hold Yehochanan in high esteem because Hamashiach said there was not a man born of a woman greater than John. So what John did out in that wilderness, his preaching and his teaching, and his showing the whole world who Hamashiach is, shall not and will not be tainted by his cousin 2,000 years later, Moreh Yoshiyahu Dawid. Oh no, I'm not putting my cousin down in front of the whole world. No. Still the greatest prophet. Still the greatest preacher besides Hamashiach. But I need to share something he did that got him in the trouble with the government. That's what I want to show you. I'm going to show you how he ended up being murdered. And then I'm going to let you go. But I gave you bonus time because of the pink elephants. But now I got to show you something about Yehochanan. I'm sitting here knowing I got to preach this text, and the same thing keep coming to my mind over and over and over again. Why? Why is Yehochanan so concerned about Herod and Herodias? I don't understand that. And so in my prayer to Abba Yah, I like, Abba Yah, I need to see this so I can show it to Zion. And I've talked about this before, but I want to see it clear because I knew I was going to be talking to you today. I was going to talk to you today during what's happening in the world, kind of putting them juxtaposition side by side. He said, number one, don't forget John's age. Because in biblical, and the way white people and Europeans picture John, he's an old bearded man. He's an old bearded white man. You Europeans gonna pay for that too. Whoa, you better be glad I didn't download some pictures about what y'all painted John. You're going to hell for that. You can't paint nobody looking like no white European sissy and say that that's Yehochanan the baptizer who stood up to the powers that be and told them, who warned you to come down here and flee the wrath of Yah? He's a brother, buff brother, strong brother. Told him that the axe is laid at the root of the tree. And don't be hollering, talking about Abraham is my daddy. He said, Yah could raise up children of Abraham from these stones. But anyway, Yehochanan wasn't no joke preacher. He wasn't no sissy. Remember his age. He's only 6 months apart from Yehoshua. So if this is Yehoshua's year of popularity, this places Yehoshua at 32 years old. He's young. And that would place Yehochanan at no older than 33 years old. So you're talking about young men. So get that in your head. Zion. I've been telling y'all this. The rebellion against the system from the Hebrew Israelites that followed Hamashiach, which they called the sect of the Nazarene. They said he was followed, that he started his own sect, but he didn't. He really came to restore Torah. But they were young. They were young. They were in their 30s. Remember, Hamashiach was crucified at 33, and Yehochanan was 6 months older. He said, so first of all, understand he's young. He's a young Hebrew Israelite who had the awesome responsibility of introducing the king to the world, the savior, the Lamb of Yah that would take away the sins of the world. So what is Yehochanan doing? He said, well, I must decrease because he has to increase. But after a while, it's been 2 years, 2.5 years, it doesn't seem like to him that Hamashiach is doing anything about Herod. If you can understand that, put a 500 in the chat. He's like, I introduced Hamashiach to the world. I've been doing all this preaching and teaching, and not one time has he gone up here and blasted out Herod. What is he doing? Doing 500s. You see how the books are going to open up to you now? You see how anything that's been sealed by, now listen, the Europeans can't teach this because they can't teach us. See, once you remove us, the Bible will stay locked. Once you use us as the key, you put us in the text as those people, then all the locks open. And for sure, now that the 400 years is up, the books are unlocked and the scales are falling off our eyes so we can see it. So what is he looking for? It's just like now, if you're like we are under oppression and there's been a promise that the king was going to come, and based on the promise, he was going to get rid of all of their enemies. So Yehochanan, after introducing Hamashiach, waits like 2 years. 2 years later, Hamashiach has not gone to Herod. Hamashiach ain't said nothing to Herodias. Hamashiach ain't said nothing to Pilate. Hamashiach ain't did nothing to Caesar. So Yehochanan was like, well, hey, if he ain't gonna get it started, I'll get it started. If he's not gonna go up there, I'll go. If he's not gonna blast these satanic heathens out in front of everybody, I'll do it. Now, this is where my cousin slid off the rails a little bit as a prophet. Because we are not told in the prophecies that Yehochanan was supposed to go talk to Herod about anything. We ain't told that in script. He was supposed to point to the king. Now, I want y'all to hear this, because this is the part I had to ask Abba Yah for permission to say. He not only was supposed to point to the king, but he was supposed to be following the king himself. And at this point, the king is not addressing Herod. So why is John talking to Herod? He said, I got to decrease, he must increase. So why aren't you with Hamashiach? Why are you blasting out Herod? So I'm reading this thing over and over and over again. Abba Yah said, I need you to go look at this line over in Luke. So I said, okay. So I go to Luke 19. I go into Luke 19. I'm going to show y'all something. I go to Luke 19. Actually, to be honest with you, let me stay where I actually started. But I'm going to get to 19. Go to Luke 19, verse, I think I want verse 10. Yes. But you're going to also see this in Luke 15. But let's go to 19 now. Let's go to Luke 19, verse 10. Watch. This is the story of Zacchaeus. When Zacchaeus repented, he said, I'm going to give half of my goods to the poor. And if I've taken anything from any man by false accusation, I'll restore him fourfold. Verse 9. And Yehoshua said unto him, this day is salvation come to this house, for as much as he is also a son of Abraham. So remember, the word salvation, I told you before, is the word really meaning to rescue. Right? Now watch what he says. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which is lost. What's lost? The house of Israel, the lost sheep of Israel is what's lost. So the focus of our king was what? Israel. And that explains it. That explains why our king didn't go to Herod. That explains why our king never went to Pilate. I'll get to that later at the end, of course. But I'm talking about during his ministry, he never went to Rome. He never tried to blast out. No. Why? Because he was focused on what? Finding the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You mean Russia? Israel. Germans? He didn't say, I'm coming for the lost sheep of the house of Germany. I'm coming for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What about the English, the good old, the lost sheep of the house of the lost sheep of Israel. The focus of Hamashiach was the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm proving this thing. In Luke chapter 15, that's where I was going next. We get three parables that's really one parable divided into three parts. It's one parable with three movements. The first movement is a movement about sheep. The second movement is a movement about money. The third is the son. So we go from animal to money to a man, or sheep to shekels to son. Yes, I got that preacher thing in me, always them constant rhymes and stuff. But anyway, really, we go from sheep to shekels to son. So he says in each case, there is something lost. So in the first case, you had 100 sheep and you lost one. He said, what would the shepherd do? Leave the 99 and go after the one. That's his job. He's to seek and to save that which is lost. And I say unto you, likewise, there should be joy in heaven over one sinner that repenteth than over 99 just persons which need no repentance. In other words, the point of him being here was to find that lost sheep. All right, then you go to the next one about the lost coin. And she got happy when she found the coin, according to the Bible, verse 9 and verse 10, he says, there shall be joy in the presence of the angels of Elohim over one sinner that repents. Now, the sinner is one who's breaking Torah, by the way. In verse 11, he talks about a certain man had two sons. And in verse 32, after that parable is over, it says, it's right that we should make merry and be glad, because this thy brother was dead and is alive again, was lost, now is found. So you get the idea here that the goal of the Messiah while he was here was to seek and to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. When we study the messengers, we talked about in chapter 10 of Matthew, where he said, look, when you go out, you're going to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? Okay, so let's get that established. That this thing is about Israel. It's about us. It's already past my time, but if you guys got that part that it's about us, put a hallelujah 1,000. Let's just get up there high. Let's get them high numbers in. If you can see that the goal of Hamashiach while he was here was to seek and to save that which was lost, put a 1,000, because we just read it. So the 1,000s are going to be helpful for other people who will catch the rebroadcast, and for other people who may be just in the room and they want to know if everybody else is watching what they're watching. That's why them thousands got to roll. So the question is, what has pulled John's attention or John's focus from seeking and saving that which is lost to telling this perverted king and his satanic, demonic wife anything about their marriage? Why do you care? What does that got to do with Israel? And why are you obsessed with it? Why do you keep saying something to him? Why do you keep saying something to her? The only rational reason Yehochanan is trying to set it off. He's like, okay, if Hamashiach is not going to go to the powers that be and tell off Herod and tell off his own nasty wife and his own nasty niece and all of his own nasty friends, I'll do it. And you know what ends up happening? Herod ends up arresting John. You should read it. It's my cousin, so I'm telling you his story. I'm exposing what really happened. Herod arrests my cousin for telling him it's unlawful. Now here is, if there's, and again, I'm so apologetic to even bring this out to the world, but the Bible does not really hide even the faults of the prophets. So let me share. There's only one person perfect, and that's Hamashiach. But let me say something about Yehochanan. There has to be something wrong with his imprisonment. If Hamashiach does not go get him out. That's his cousin. They first cousins. They know each other from the womb. You remember when Miriam was pregnant, she went to Elizabeth and the baby leaped in her womb. Then when they met up again at the baptism, he said, man, I need to have you baptize me. Man, let's do this, man. This is fulfilling prophecy. Then afterwards, man, John told his disciples, look, follow him. Don't be following me no more. So why are you now at the government? Yelling at the government that's already crooked and perverted and corrupt and trying to tell them about Torah. When this Edomite don't know no Torah and his heifer sure don't know nothing about Torah. She is the devil. This Edomite is Satan and he's married to Satan's daughter. They don't have Torah. They got an ancient form of what y'all call today Christianity. Them was what you would call some Christians. They believed in you do whatever you want because the law has been done away. They believe you can, all you got to do is just throw a little forgiveness sign. Blah, 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 blah. Ain't no law, no Torah. You don't be telling us what to do. We do what we want. We can eat what we want. We can drink what we want. We can sleep with who we want to sleep with because we good Christians. That's what they was practicing, a form of Christianity. And right now, do you know that them people who stormed Capitol buildings was carrying Christian signs and crosses? Beating the heads ends of Capitol policemen and trampling people to death and all that. Do you know them people go to church every week? Bowing down knees to white Jesus and hate niggas. Call you a nigger spooking a coon. I told you a young black girl in her 20s got beat down just walking by one of their rallies. Not her business. Why is she even there in the first place? What's wrong with her? Oh, she didn't hear Maury or none of the other of our preachers, I guess, telling her, Stay your behind at the house. This ain't your business. So Yehochanan is tired of being in oppression. He's tired of the occupation. Man, he's fed up, man, with not having the rights and the liberties to do what a nation needs to do. And on top of that, he's looking at the corruption in the place of a king and it's vexing his soul. He's like, man, I'm finna tell him. But I see here that Hamashiach didn't tell him to do that, though. But he did it. So when Herod's wife kept saying, you need to go do something about him, then Herod arrested him, put him in prison. And do you remember when he was in prison, he went through depression. Remember, he's just a young man. He's like 32 years old, 33. Now he's in prison. And while in prison, Hamashiach does not come by to get him out, does not come to free him. And what ends up happening is he sends two of his disciples. Now, he ain't supposed to have no more disciples. Why does John still have disciples when Hamashiach is here? See, we're starting to see something. It's kind of weird. That's all I'm saying. And he said, he heard that Hamashiach was doing all these mighty works. He said, would you go and ask him, is he the one or should we look for another one? So his disciples went to Hamashiach and was like, Yehoshua, John wants to know, are you the one that is to come or should we look for another one? And at the time they were asking him, he was performing miracles. It was like, oh, I know what's going on. He said, I know what's happening. John is in prison and he's depressed. He's going through it right now. And tell John that, matter of fact, tell him what you've seen. Tell him how the lame are walking. Tell him how the deaf are hearing. Go back and tell Yehochanan how blind eyes are now seeing. Matter of fact, go back and tell him. Tell him that lepers are being cleansed. Yeah, and make sure you tell him that the poor, the destitute, the outcast, the struggling, the ghetto, the country. What's happening? They getting the gospel. Yeah, tell them that the ex-slaves are hearing the truth. Tell them that those that were raised under white European rule, that was told if they try to read, they'll put their eyes out. Tell them that they're reading Hebrew now and understanding the message. Tell them, yeah, that they're walking up out of false religions and false doctrines and false. John, you need to know what's happening out here, man. I know you're going through it, but let me tell you what's actually happened. People that were worshiping Baal ain't worshiping Baal no more. Yes, John, you need to know what's happening on the outside. Negroes that was carrying Christmas trees ain't carrying nary a tree again. Negroes that was Easter egg hunting ain't hunting eggs no more. Tell them, Negroes that was eating shrimps and rats and roaches and all kind of manner of abominations have changed their diet, cleaning themselves up for the coming of the King. Tell them that folk are leaving the European demigods of the world and are humbling themselves under the mighty hand of Abba Yah. Tell them that the prophecies of Isaiah are now coming to pass. That those that are hungry can get food without price. And those that are thirsty are now drinking from the waters, from the wells of living water. Go tell him. Tell him. Tell him that the sheep are being fed Torah over tradition. Tell him that the sheep are being taught about the wheels that are turning in the middle of the wheels. Y'all, I got to go. But watch what he said. You need to go tell him that. He said, because really, John, what he was telling John was, he was saying the Messiah is doing everything that it has been prophesied that the Messiah would do. But then he leave a blessing. He said, and tell John I said, and blessed is he that is not offended in me. In other words, you're going to be blessed if you don't stumble over me. I know you don't understand it right now, John. You don't get it all, but you can't get mad because I'm not facing Herod right now. See, it's causing you to have a little problem. You stumbling because I'm not blasting out Herodes, because I'm not blasting out Pilate, and because I'm not blasting out Caesar. Don't get offended by that. And I hear you, King. Because as a moderator, don't you know people are always trying to get me to do things in a political setting? Woo! I give less than a dang. I could care less when it comes to Trump or whoever else, where they kiss it or whip it or lick it or grab it. That's his business. Who cares? Look, you heathens do you. You hear about so-and-so's son with old crack cocaine? Man, who cares? They not Israel. But you hear about so-and-so sleeping with so-and-so. What? Y'all don't, and what? Ain't you gonna say something? No. Why? I don't care. Why am I trying to take Torah to people who ain't the children of Israel? More, you know, man, you live in, won't you go up to the Capitol? Capitol what? Let me tell you something. I got little nieces and nephews. That's why more I'm trying to watch. Listen, I'd rather speak through this camera and talk to 3 Hebrew young people than to have an open mic in the White House. I turn on this mic and speak to just my kids. before I take an open mic at the state capitol. Because I don't care. So what you about then, Israel? My effort ain't trying to change these heathens. Wait a minute. Do you think I'm over here going to try to go over there with some kind of weird European Bible tract and try to stop this from happening? Y'all must don't know them already. Boy, let me tell y'all something. Where that picture go? I let these heathens have their way. Man, y'all trample each other. I was trying to figure out. I'm listening to this riot and I'm going, I don't hear no guns going off. This is weird. Man, where's the cocktails and the sirens? Because if 5 Hebrews get together, all of a sudden 35 cop cars lining up with lights flashing, sirens, then you get 1 million heathens and nary a shot. I said, what is happening here? Oh. Just another reminder that that's not my business. That's European white supremacy business. That's not Israelite business. Man, Murray, if you just could speak to Trump about what? What do you think I'm going to tell him? John said, that ain't your wife. What are they looking at him like? Somebody need to go shut that Hebrew up. Said, well, what you gonna do? That dirty, nasty Herodias said, kill him. Kill him? Kill him. Herod then turned back. Let me just read it. Herod turned back and said, I can't kill him. Everybody knows he's a prophet. Let me read it though. Therefore, Herodias had a quarrel against him. Who? This white witch. This half European, half Edomite witch had a quarrel with the preacher. First of all, she's so far below the preacher. What is he doing? She had a quarrel against him and would have killed him, but she couldn't. Woo, do you see that? That white witch was going to kill him. She just couldn't. If she could have, she would have. Why? She don't care about no prophet, no preacher. She's not an Israelite. Keep trying to show y'all that. She could care less about him. He's an irritation. Kill him. But this Edomite knows a little bit about Israelites. He said, wait a minute, I can't kill him because these Israelites will go crazy. Man, these Hebrews, boy, they believed that John was a prophet. For Herod feared Yehochanan, knowing that he was a right man. That's why I said it's murder. I need you to underline that. I need you to underline in your Bible where it says, for Herod feared Yehochanan, knowing that he was a just man, which means he was right. So his death is not just a martyr. His death is murder. That's why we went to Mark. Mark said John was not only just and holy, but Herod observed him, and when he heard him, he did many things and heard him gladly. Wait, what? So John was still preaching in prison. Verse 21. And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords. Now, you think that word Lord means his masters? See how the Europeans now put the word in there, Lord? And it don't mean his masters, does it? It means it's under him. Remember, lords are under kings. That's why we don't use the word Lord when we deal with Hamashiach. We only use the word king. Because you see here that Herod has lords and they're not his master. These are people under him. It's a hierarchy. So he had a supper to his lords and his captains, and these are people who work for him, and the chief estates of Galilee. Oh, you're going to bring in people from the hometown, huh? You wicked, evil, dirty, stinking, perverted dog. And when the daughter of the said Herodias came in, wait, what? That would make this girl his niece. That's his brother's wife, right? That's his brother's daughter. That's his brother's daughter. Herodias' daughter. That's his brother's daughter. These nasty, dirty, perverted people that's in power, they thugs. They gangbangers, they whores, and they whoremongers. They're satanic devil worshipers. That's why I always tell Zion, you need to stay away from that. You have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes with these people. These people have seances behind the scenes. They worship the devil. They jump in caskets and do sodomy and all kind of unrighteous stuff in the dark. They drink human blood from skull. Y'all have no idea how deep this nasty, powerful leadership in this world is. Anybody that would have your own niece come in and dance on your birthday. Watch the Bible. It pleased Herod. You know what that word means? Sexually. In front of everybody. His niece. Some nasty stuff. And her mama had put her up to it. What kind of nasty hoe is she? They have no scruples. There's no Torah. So here is Yehochanan trying to bring Torah, which is law, to a lawless people. They don't have a law. They make up their own laws. They do what they want to do. Yehochanan, did you know that you was dealing with lawless people? That's why you should stay away from these lawless people, these governments. Because you in prison and you haven't done anything but tell the truth. You shouldn't even be in prison right now. You should be out looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, teaching them the law, statutes, and commandments so they could be prepared and recognize the visitation of their king. When the daughter of Herodias came in and danced and pleased Herod, that's a nasty, and I can't go into this because I know there's young people watching, but it's a sexual dance. It's sort of like what they call today what the strippers do. It was a strip tease. It's like, you know, with the whole pole and veils and twerking and the whole, it's a nasty stripper dance that he had his own daughter, his stepdaughter / niece doing in front of him, in front of all of his friends, so that she would do this crazy dance and take all her clothes off and then basically please him sexually in front of everybody. That's just what was happening. And if y'all don't believe me, I'm going to tell you something that you need to know. This kind of nasty stuff still goes on in power, in government, in Congress, in the White House, in the Kremlin, in these churches and in these synagogues and in these Masonic temples and all that stuff, man. In these people who rule the world are still doing this stuff. You think Jeffrey Epstein got rich doing nothing? No, this is what he was doing. It's the same stuff, y'all. Nasty, dirty pedophiles. They said, man, no way she was over 18. She was younger than that. Evil. Sick. And the dance pleased Herod and them that sat with him. And the king said unto the damsel, ask me whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. You nasty, stinking, perverted dog. You're going to hell, you know that. This is what's going on in governments, leadership. Because there ain't no such thing as special people other than Israel. Everybody's just a human. Just because they put on suits and run governments don't mean they're not thugs. Don't mean that they're not sexually perverted sons and daughters of Satan. And it would, I really couldn't even tell you the things that I know that goes on behind scenes. It would turn your stomach. You'd have to turn off this broadcast on the Shabbat. He said, I'll give you up to half of my kingdom. Do you hear that? That's how much he was burning with lust for his own niece/daughter. That he made a promise in front of everybody that at that moment, if she would say, I want half the kingdom, then half of the kingdom would have became hers. She could have said, yes, that's what I want. I want half. And because he wanted to be with her sexually so bad, he would have gave it to her. How come? Because one, he already know he's a puppet king anyway. He's illegitimate king. He's under Rome and he's under Pilate and he's under Caesar, but he don't care. He just want her. And she knows that. So she uses that to her advantage to do the will of her satanic mama. Let me finish. And she went forth and said to her mother, verse 24, what shall I ask? The king said, you can have up to half the kingdom. You would think the mama would be like, man, ask for half the kingdom. See that woman scorn thing? That's evil. People brag on that. Yeah, ain't no fury. Hell has no fury like a woman scorn and laugh about that. That's some satanic, you know what? This is the Shabbat, so I can't say it like I want to say it on this holy Shabbat. But she been mad ever since Yehochanan brought Torah to her concerning her relationship with the king, because the king was supposedly supposed to be the king of Israel. And as the king of Israel, you're supposed to walk by the laws, statutes, and commandments. She's so mad that when the daughter came to her and said, and her name was Salome, when she came to her, Herodias, and said, well, you heard what he said. He'll give me anything right now. That's how, so nasty and gross. She said, the head of John the Baptizer. Tell him I want the head of John the Baptizer. And she came in straightway with haste unto the king. She was so excited about that. She was like, oh yeah, finally get rid of him. And as saying, I will that you give me by and by a charger. That's like a plate. That's what she's saying. I had something in here, but anyway, I'll use this, bottom of this. She said, I want a plate like this. And I want John's head right here. I want a plate on a platter Now remember, it's a birthday. So the idea is it's going to come out like a dish. It's going to come out in the middle of feasting. These nasty, dirty, perverted government leaders were going to be in a room where they're eating and drinking, and there's going to be a human head sitting on a platter. And it'll be the head of the greatest prophet that Israel's ever had, other than Hamashiach himself. Killed by that Edomite. That's what she asked for. I don't want him just dead. I want a platter. I want his head cut from his body, placed on the platter, and then I'm going to bring the platter in. And the king was exceeding sorry. That means he was scared. Like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Now, as evil as he was shocked. Yet for his oath's sake. You mean tell me he didn't say, like, you know what? First of all, you done gone too far. You must have been talking to that witch mama of yours. No, he didn't do that. He thought about it. He said, well, I put it out there, so that's what she wants. You see how evil wickedness is? The government, the powers that be, the non-Hebrew Israelites of the world, you see it? And for their sakes which sat with him, he wouldn't reject her. Man, he got all his boys here, everybody working for him, man. They all looking like, man, you really gonna do it? You really gonna do it? And immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in the prison. Didn't even take him out. Beheaded him right there in the prison. And brought his head in a charger and gave it to the damsel. What? She didn't have a problem carrying a human head. What kind of satanic stuff is going on? And the damsel took it and gave it to her mama. Here's your trophy, mama. Here's what you wanted. The murder. John was murdered by the Herods. He was murdered by these perverted demons and devils. He was murdered by these so-called European supremacists. He was murdered by a lust-filled, perverted, schizophrenic king that was lusting after his own niece / daughter from his mama, who is a hot mess. That's how Yehochanan was murdered. So Zion, Maury is trying to show you something. If we're going to go out, and we all got to go, if we are going out, I think it'll be much better if we go out seeking and saving that which is lost. I think if we are going to die, we ought to die on the battlefield for Israel. I believe that if we're going to have to shed our blood for this fight, it should not be over what these satanic devil worshipers are doing. Let the devil worship the devil. What makes y'all think that this thing is about everybody in the world? This book is about Israel. And the only way Gentiles get to the kingdom, they got to join Israel. Outside of that, there's no hope for the Gentile. And the apostles gathered themselves. Wait a minute. And when the disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse and laid it in a tomb. Wow. And when the apostles gathered themselves together unto Yehoshua and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught, and he said unto them, come ye apart into a desert place and rest a while. So I need to tell you all something. Sometimes we got to refocus. You know why this movement didn't work? It didn't have Torah. You marching on capital steps for what? Our people got worse after that. I know nobody wants to admit that. Some things got better. I will admit that. But then there's a lot of things that got worse. Let's just be honest. We lost all of our businesses, bank, schools, land, wealth, riches. We didn't even know we had wealth. I got a buddy right now, one of my closest friends in the whole world. When I say world, I mean in the world. He's older, and he told me when he grew up, his father had 80 acres of land. 80. 80. Moray struggled out here with just 2. 80. I don't even know how big 80 acres is. And he told me he was poor. That's how in the mind a person don't. That's how sometimes we let society talk to us. How do you have 80? He said, oh, at one time we had 160. I mean, 120. 120 what? Acres. And about 50 cows. And more chickens than I can count, in guineas, and had water and house. And you say you was poor? You tell me back in the day when they paint these pictures of us struggling, I'm not saying that we wasn't struggling, but y'all had 80 acres of land. I mean, the trees alone would make you a millionaire, just the wood. And if you were in the South, you could have had oil. Just making a point. See, Zion, our problem is not always what we consider to be the government. Sometimes our problem is us. And when we lose focus on trying to help Israel, see, this right here, not going to work without Yah, because we're the Israelites. The whole bow tie thing and, by any means necessary, no, that ain't going to work either. Ask the brother who was talking about, let's take up arms and da-da-da-da. Well, they came to his house, knock on the door. I know you in there. You supposed to be over those. What? Boy, all that talk he was saying about shooting and all that was nary a shot fired. He ended up going and getting taken. Boy, they took him behind them closed doors. Said, man, let me tell you something. You looking at 20 years. But I ain't heard nary a word. Why? Because we ain't taking the nation like that. We're about to go home, and if we really going home the right way, let me tell you how we're going to do it. If my people would have called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven. I will forgive their sins and heal their land. That is the promise. Not when we get enough guns and learn how to fight and all that. No. Or when we storm Capitol buildings. No, that's not going to happen. Or when you can get enough paint to write Black Lives Matter on the street. No, man, what is all that about? So unfortunately, Yehochanan is murdered. Well, Maury, is that the end of the story? Well, in a way it is, in a way it's not. I was curious. I said, what happened to John? to Herod as a result of this. Do you know that Herod actually is a man in scripture that was so repulsive, he went so far in his satanic idol worship, idolatry, he was outside of the reach of even Hamashiach. I have a sermon I preached years ago titled, "A Man Gone Too Far." And that's bad when you go so far that Hamashiach won't even talk to you. Won't even talk to him. They said, "Hamashiach, Herod wants to see you." He said, "You go tell that fox I said I ain't coming." I'm not talking to him. I'm not talking to him. When they arrested Hamashiach, y'all remember that? He went to Pilate, and when Pilate found out where he was from, he called Herod. And Herod is the one who put that robe on him and then put the crown and was mocking him and was trying to get him to, he said, no, he didn't even say anything to Herod. And after they made sport and beat him and all that, he never even said nothing to Herod. He spoke to Pilate and didn't talk to Herod. That's a man too far gone. And I'm telling y'all, there are people on this planet right now, they too far gone. And once Yah has given up on somebody, it's over. You should read Romans. He says, "Wherefore Yah gave them up." And you wasting your time trying to redeem somebody that Yah's already said, "I'm not redeeming." You're wasting time. I know I kept y'all a long time on this Shabbat, but I had to let you see something, Zion. Let's look at the end of Herod. Herod stands up during close to like one of our feast days and makes an oration, and they say he speaks as one that speaks with a voice of God. And that fool accepted the praise of men, and the worms ate him. It's in the book of Acts. The worms ate him from the inside. While he yet spake, the worms ate him. He died by little worms. Old man Dr. Rowland, who was one of my mentors, said, "Little worms for little people." And that's the way Yah saw him, as a nothing. Worms ate him. And by the way, Salome, what happened to her? The twerker, the dancer, the pole swinger, the one asking for heads on chargers and evil. What happened to her? They got exiled. You got to read it. And guess where they had to run? They ran to Spain. I got a whole nother message about that. The Edomites that are in Spain that are posing to be the Yehudian. But anyway, they were running. And the record is that when the governments were changing hands again, they were not favorable toward the Herods, so that they had to run. And one winter, while Salome and her husband, which was actually her cousin, they were running away. They said she ran across a frozen river. And they said the ice cracked and she fell in. He said, and while she was trying to get out of the water, she just had her head above. They said a piece of ice came and cut her head off. So her last dance. I said her last dance was a dance in the cold waters that would become her grave. For here she is under there struggling to get out. And while she's trying, ice decapitates her. That's the record on how she died. See, Zion, we do have an Elohim who sit high, but he looks low. We have an Elohim, Abayah, who's in control. There's nothing you can do about what's happening in this country or all over the world. The Hebrew Israelites are being set free. Make no doubt about it. All of the unrest, all of the judgments, all over the world is happening right now. It's what we could have never seen. But he said, if you took somebody into captivity, you go into captivity yourself. If you kill by the sword, you shall be killed by the sword. It's in the Bible. Don't get that ever twisted. And Yah is not a man that he should lie. You will reap what you sow. And it is happening right now. And I'm going to tell all you slumber brews, you better wake up. Our king is coming. And all you heathens that's watching me, if you still got an ounce of breath in your lung, you better use that to confess. That's not going to stop the judgment, but at least the confession might allow you to have a small place among the children of Israel before it's eternally too late. It's almost over. We're about to go. Time of captivity, 400 years is up. And if you think 2020 was bad, you wait till you see the rest of 2020. We ain't even got through the first month. The second wave of the virus is already on its way. But Zion, you stay strong and you stay healthy. And we'll come back with some other messages on that too later on. But I hope that as we expose the murder of Yehochanan, the baptizer, in that same way, we'll expose the fact that we are supposed to be about our Father's business and leave the heathen's business to the heathen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. If you believe what Morey said, it make crystal clear sense. That doesn't mean that Yah is still not going to avenge, because like I said, they died horrible deaths as a result. But we have a job though, and that's to stay focused on helping Israel wake up and turn to their Abba, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. If you understand that, put a 1 million in this chat before we go on this Shabbat. Once again, as always, it is my privilege to be with you on today. Yes, to be in the room with Zion, the apple of his eye, to be able to help you in these last days. That's my privilege. So Toda Rabbah for you being in the room and being able to share like we have shared. The 1 million is in the house. Toda Rabbah. Don't forget to support before you exit the video. Send something our way to help us keep going and keep on keeping on for Yah. And we'll promise to take whatever is given and to use that to give it back. Because that's what it's really all about. Let us keep ourselves, what? About our Father's business.
Hands lifted, hearts filled with praise.
Oh yeah. And I want to say, I want to say Toda Rabbah. I want to say total about the Hula. She got me this shirt. She said, yeah, you can. She got a couple of these. She said, yeah, you can wear these when you're online and you look uniform. And, boy, you know, it's kind of fancy. I said, okay. So total about Hula for giving me this. And I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be wearing them because they got our logo on it. So once again, one love. And we'll be back dealing with that tile on Tuesday. All right. Yes, one love, Zion. Until we meet again. Shalom to the 12 tribes worldwide.
I will bless Yahweh at all times, and His praise shall continually be in my mouth. Hallelujah. Hands lifted, hearts filled with praise. I'll be grateful until and bless His name. Hands lifted, hearts filled with praise. I'll be faithful unto Him and bless His name. Hands lifted, hearts filled. I'll be faithful unto Him. Bless His name. Hands lifted, hearts filled. I'll be faithful unto Him. Bless His name. Hands lifted, hearts filled. I'll be faithful unto Him. Bless His name. Hands lifted, hearts filled. I'll be faithful unto Him.
Bless His name.
Bless His name most high. I will bless Yahweh at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth.
One love, Zion. I see y'all from all over the world. Stay strong. Stay true to Yah. Keep your eye on the prize. Our King is coming. Won't be long. And we going home.
You are the most high. Nobody greater than you.
Sing it.
I will bless your name. Bless your name, holy name. Bless His name. I will bless Yahweh at all times.
Shalom.
Man, it seemed like every